All right, everybody, what's up? It's your girl from Word Revolution. Uh, I guess I'm being weaned from Facebook because I can't even go live. It's very glitchy and weird, which is fine because I've probably only got until the end of the year where I'll be using Facebook. And I won't do much live stuff at all. Things will be pre-recorded and uploaded for you all. So I guess this is just helping to push me toward that transition. I don't know if I said it, but my name is Jetty from Word Revolution. So today I want to talk to you guys about protecting vulnerable, protecting the vulnerable. In particular, this is about nations and people as a group, but these things apply on a personal level also. Okay. So let's see if we leave that there. How's that going to work? Okay. So it's a little far away, huh? Okay, I guess I'll have to move it. Sorry, forgive my awkwardness, guys. Um, and for those of you who are going to catch this after I share it on Facebook, and who are used to me going live, and you all used to being able to chat with me and or even call in. We do call-ins and things. It's going to take us just a minute to kind of move into using this venue as opposed to Facebook. So just forgive me in advance for this not really allowing for us to dialogue the way that we are all accustomed to. So this is going to more like just be kind of a lesson than a discussion. And sometimes I do lessons, sometimes discussions. Those of you who follow me know everything's not always a discussion. Sometimes I'm just coming to drop something on you, and I really don't want to hear your opinion about it or your, opposing thoughts and things like that. And so I guess this is kind of good that we're not able to do the dialogue because it'll help me to move a little more quickly through this lesson. So this is for people in leadership positions in particular, right? So that means if you are the head of your community, like your community leader, or even the head of your family, we're going to talk about some things that you can do to protect the most vulnerable members of that body that you are the leader of, okay? So the first thing that you will want to ask yourself is, why do you think that you need help, right? And so who we're protecting them from, we're protecting the vulnerable from entities who exploit you based on helping, right? The person that offers you a ride but kidnaps you, right? So, that. So looking at nations, right? Looking at nations. Ask yourself, why do you think that your nation needs help? Now, if it's a situation like they've got in Haiti right now, where they've had this hurricane come through, they've had all this flooding, the Caribbean is really beat up right now, which that's a whole other talk, because if you don't know that these things are man-made and that they are literally trying to wipe the people out of the paradises so that they can come and take them to themselves. The Clintons are heavily invested in Haiti. They've been just waiting to wipe the Haitians out so they can turn it into the next, West Palm Beach paradise for people like themselves. You are really, if you still think it's a conspiracy theory that they're using things like weather and that they're using immunizations and things like this new HPV scare, if you don't know that these kinds of things are literal attacks on the people, if you think that's just a conspiracy theory, don't follow me, don't comment, leave me alone. I'm going to delete your comments. This is for people who know good and damn sight well what we're dealing with, right? That this is real live global domination tactics. And so you can't protect yourself from something if you won't admit what you're dealing with, right? Like you just can't. Hey, there's my glasses. So let's skip the talk where I have to convince you that somebody's out to get you, okay? Because somebody's out to get you. I'm talking to the people who know that that's true, okay? So what I would say first is the question, why do you think your body, whether it's a nation or your family, why do you think that you need help? Now, some situations, like I said, with Haiti, right? Haiti right now, they clearly need help. Haiti needs help. They are dealing with flooding. They were already in a bad way, and now the flooding is just outrageous. And then the aftermath of the flooding, right, which is like disease and all this stuff. That is a nation that's clearly like, they're not just thinking they need help because somebody told them they need help. They need help. They're in a crisis, right? So, but we need to be able to determine the difference between a crisis and a manufactured hysteria, right? And so, in a situation where you're there, you're chilling, right? Everybody's chilling, and then an outside body comes in and starts to evaluate your life, whether it's your spirituality or the way that you dress or the foods that you eat. They start to evaluate your life, and they start to tell you what's good for you and what's not. And somehow all the stuff that you people have always done, the way that you've always dressed, the foods that you've always eaten, the homes that you've always lived in, when they are suddenly, like, someone comes in and tells you that these things are below some global living standard, that's red flag number one. If you're somewhere minding your own little business, and then someone comes and convinces you that you need help, that's problematic. No one has to come and convince you when you have a fever. You know first when you have a fever. You know first when you have an ear infection. You know first when you're short of breath. You know first when you can't feel your toes. And so you don't need an outside person to come and tell you that you need help and that, voila, I'm here to give it to you, right? It's nonsense. And I know that that's tricky because it gets into, it invalidates something like evangelism, right? People running around the globe and telling other people that without their spiritual system, you're going to hell, right? If you don't do it my ways, forgive me, I'm walking around my house, guys. So if you don't do it our way, if you don't worship our way, if you don't, I'm one of the few guys that drinks tap water here in Belize. We don't like as a practice, but I asked my son to go get us bottled water yesterday, and he did not. He said, all right, I will in a minute, and then he forgot. So now I'm drinking tap water. Y'all got to forgive me, I'm parched. So here's the deal, right? I understand the implications in terms of evangelism and how that, me saying that no outside person should be coming to you and imposing onto you the idea that you need help, whether it be with the salvation of your soul or the constructing of your homes or whatever, the educating of your children. No outside person should be telling you that. You know if you need help. Just like your body, you know when your body is sick, you know when your own community is sick. You don't need someone to come over to you and do that. I mean, there are rare and extreme cases where, like, I'm going along like normal and I don't think anything's wrong, but then someone comes over to me and says, so are your nail beds always like that? And I'm like, yeah, why? And they're like, oh, well, that's a sign of heart failure or something. Like, what? Really? I never knew. That kind of happens sometimes, right? But in general, overwhelmingly, if a thing or a person is unhealthy, it will know before the outside world will know. And so when you have bodies come into an environment and start to impose some mentality that the environment that they have entered into needs to be fixed, that's a red flag, right? That's like a literal red flag. So anything now that comes out of the mouth of that body, that evangelist or that investor or that who or whatever they are, you should be highly suspicious of. In fact, I wouldn't even listen to it. If I were you, I wouldn't even listen to it. Like, I'm not going to stand here and have you come into my house. That's like someone walking into my house and being like, you need a better couch. Well, I do need a better couch, but that's beside the point. Like, oh, you need a better couch. And I think that you should put your table over here where you can get sun when you sit at your table, because wouldn't you want the sun to hit you when you're having your breakfast? And I think that, like, somebody come in the door with that, they're not going to be here long, right? Like, they're not going to be here long. Even if it comes with, you know what? I think you need a better couch. I'm going to buy you a better couch. I'm going to get you a couch and bring it to you because this is a shame, this couch you're sitting on. Like, what's in it for them to buy me the couch, right? Why are they buying me the couch? Now, we are not dealing with a global situation where we don't have references for the things that I'm saying, right? Look at world history. You don't even have to go into ancient and old history. Just look at the last 50 years. Look at the last 50 years. Ask yourself, in the last 50 to 100 years, how many developing nations have actually made progress by way of external help, aid, right? Aid from foreigners or foreign investment and all of that. Ask yourself that. Look at the history, right? So that's already questionable. Why? Ask yourself, why do I think I need help? Why do I think I need an upgrade? Why do I think my house isn't suitable? Why do I think my husband ain't shit? Why do I think my kids are inferior? Where did I get that notion? Did it come from me? Did it come from my own sensibility and my own ideas of what is right and wrong? Or did it come from some outside force who determined by their own standards our low position or state, right? Because you guys got to understand, colonizers go around the world. First of all, consider this. If they knew so damn much, and if they had all the fucking answers, excuse my French, but if you can't handle it, don't follow me, okay? If they had all the fucking answers, why are they running from all of these places that they build up, right? Why did everyone, just looking at the last 50 years, right? Why are white people leaving America in droves and coming to places like where I live, like Belize? Why are they literally scouring the earth, right, for years and years to find a place like Belize or Costa Rica or South Africa or somewhere where they can go, Thailand, right? Why is their biggest life goal to get the hell out of a place like America? Why? Right? Because their systems suck, and it sucks the life out of you. But what they do is they go places like, I'm going to use Belize as an example. They'll come to Belize, and then they'll realize that they're outside of their comfort zone. And so rather than learn to adapt, what they do is they start telling Belizeans how backward they are, how much help they need. And then they commence to help by way of recreating the systems and everything that they are familiar with, which is what they spent their entire life trying to get the hell away from in the first place, right? You saying to yourself, that doesn't make sense. I have never accused the colonizers of having sense, okay? That's not, still kill, destroy, deceive. Enlighten and educate ain't on there. Enlighten and educate are not on the list of things that this colonizing body is known for. So yes, it doesn't make sense. If I hate the thing that I'm in so much that I spend my whole working life looking for somewhere I can go when I'm done working so I can get the hell out of there, and then I go somewhere where it's not like that, and then, oh, this is beautiful. It's so not like what that hell I just left. And then I start, to implement and create the things to make it more familiar to me because I'm used to hell. And I start setting everything on fire to heat the place up a little bit. That is literally what the colonizers are doing. So when they come and they start evaluating your life, your country, your religion, your education system, the way that you farm, all of it. When they start evaluating those things, know that they are simply they're not authorities on anything. They do not have a working model that says be like us. They don't have a working model that says be like us. They only have models that, when you look at the long-term effects, cancerous. Everything is cancerous, right? So, and I'm not just talking shit. I mean, I know we look at things like Paris and we're like, oh, the French are so fabulous. Paris is nasty and dirty and has some of the nastiest, dirtiest, vilest slums. Like, yeah, I know they show you cute pictures of like the Eiffel Tower and whatever fanciness, but the fact of the matter is, it's a mess, right? And so ask yourself, before you go accepting aid and assistance, ask yourself, why do you even think that you need it? Did the person that's offering the aid convince you that you need it? Or did you legitimately have a need that you went in search of a solution for, right? 9 times out of 10, if it's a need if it's a true need and it is born out of the people or out of the country itself, within that need is the capability and ability to fix it. There always is. Someone in that country has the capability and ability to fix it. That's just the way that life is set up, right? There are no problems that don't have solutions. Solutions are literally built into the problem. So you don't need an outsider to come and create a problem that they have also created the solution for. If you've already got problems, solve your own daggone problems. Or at least if you're going to solve your own problems, or at least if you're going to ask for aid, get aid from people who share your values. Get aid from people who share your ancestral memories. Get aid from people who share your spiritual perspective. And by spiritual perspective, I don't even mean like your religion per se, but you can see the fruit of the God that they serve in the way that they conduct themselves, right? And so there's that, right? If you look at the trends and track records of these aid bodies, right? UNICEF, Oxfam, the Red Cross, the UN, right? The United States likes to give aid all the time, right? Like, when you have these bodies, I really, really suggest to just look at the track record. Get online and Google something like, countries impacted by, or countries served by the Red Cross in the last 10 years. And see if you can find any countries where you have testimonies of the people where they're saying, oh my God, we were so bad off, and then the Red Cross came and now we're great. You will not find that. Haiti is another perfect example, and prayers for Haiti. Haiti is another perfect example because I remember when the Clintons were down there, pretending they were going to do so much awesomeness, and they raised all this money to like help Haiti, and they didn't do jack with it. They didn't do jack, like nothing. They didn't do anything with the money. They kept all that money that they raised. But they raised it by showing pictures of poor little Haitians. Everybody was, I think it was a flood, hurricane. What was it? What was that, 2008 or so? I forget when that was. But like, I'm sure y'all remember, right? Y'all remember like the big Haitian plight, right? Oh God, we're going to help Haiti. The Clintons are going to help Haiti. Excuse me. And the Haitians are going, dude, all they did was come down here and take some pictures, put up a little small building that's their headquarters, and take all those millions and millions of dollars that were raised for the people. I'm not making this up. Like, now, granted, these kinds of truths are getting more and more difficult to find online. And that is because, it's not because they're not true and they're taking down false news. I need you to understand this is the age of deception. So if you're a truth teller, You usually end up dead, discredited, and erased from history. Like totally erased from history. So, and I know that, perhaps that's their plan for me, but the Most High has other plans for me. So, yeah, so when you're saying to yourself, okay, like let's say you are in a situation and you truly do need the aid, there have to be ways that you evaluate who you get that aid from. Don't go and ask the known pedophile to be your babysitter. Don't ask the pedophile to be the teacher. Don't say, we need a new teacher, we need help. Hey, let's check the National Registry of Pedophiles and get somebody in here. You just would not do that, right? You're like so not going to do that. You're not, if you need help barbecuing, a bunch of hot dogs and hamburgers for a family event, you're not going to call PETA and say PETA, is like the protection. I don't even know what their little thing stands for. Y'all can Google it, PETA. But they're anti-cruelty to animals people, and they're not just against cruelty to animals. They're against really using animals for anything except pets, right? So they're super against eating meat. So you're not going to call the PETA representative and ask them to come and barbecue up. You need an extra hand at the grill. So PETA comes over, they hear you're having a party. They're like, I hear you're having a party. Yeah, I could use a hand at the grill. What do you think PETA's going to do? Do you think they're going to grill up those burgers for you? And no, they're going to throw that shit in the trash. They're going to call you some names, and you and your guests are going to be stuck hungry. They're going to be standing there talking about have a salad, right? Like, that's not what you do. Or vice versa, right? Vice versa. You are a staunch vegan. You're a staunch vegan and you're starving. You're not going to call the person who loathes the fact that you don't eat meat and like does the slick stuff. You ever have like people that know, you say, well, my kid doesn't eat whatever, cauliflower. And they're like, so they can't wait till your kid comes over so they can put cauliflower in some food and disguise it, and your kid eats it, and they're like, I told you they ate cauliflower. Or like those people that love to sneak pork into Muslims, right? Like, they'll be like, oh, you don't eat pork? Oh, you ate it last week because it was sure enough pork in that stew, right? Like, anyway, I digress. Y'all know I be scattered sometimes. So you're not going to ask someone whose agenda or ideology or whatever is contrary to your own. You're not going to ask that person for help. That's not the person that you call for help in that moment. And so when you're looking at these foreign aid bodies or these outside investors, think about that. All investors are not created equally. All foreign aid packages are not created equally. The World Health Organization runs around the world sterilizing people, planting poisons into them, cancers, nerve destroying substances. Like, the World Health Organization literally goes around doing that. I watched them create HPV as a disease. I watched them sterilize. By the time they got done with HPV, do you know, I was on Facebook maybe about 6 months ago, and a friend of mine mentioned that she was going in to have a hysterectomy. And when I say that the number of women, black women in the United States who are in my age group, right, and I'm 45, so we're going to say between 35 and 50, right, in my age group, there were scores and scores and scores of women who got on and encouraged her. It's okay, sis. I went through it too. Girl, I don't miss my uterus one bit. It's okay. Wah, 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 wee, right? The question is, why in the hell would so many women suddenly need hysterectomies? Well, because they created this imaginary disease, HPV. They created it. They planted it when they were doing these screenings. They plant it, right? And then they come and they say, oh, God, you've got it. It's bad, cancer. And then they take your cervix out. Why? Why would they do that, right? Well, maybe you're somewhere saying, oh, my doctor wouldn't be that cruel. Well, your doctor didn't come up with the scheme, although they are complicit. And I'm hard pressed to imagine that there are many within the health fields of the world today, any of your accredited health fields, that don't know the agenda, the sterilization agenda, especially of people of color, black people at the top of the list of who they would like to exterminate. So when you look at it, you say, okay, who's funding it? Oh, look at that. Bill and Melinda Gates, the eugenics champions. So if Bill and Melinda Gates send a representative to your house and you're black, and they send somebody to your house talking about reproductive care and talking about free reproductive health care, know that it's not about free reproductive health care. They literally need access so they can sterilize your black ass. If you don't think that it's true, look at the track record. Why is it Kenya? Is it Kenya where the president literally put them out? Because they have a generation of women. They didn't even know. They sterilized all these women. I think it's Kenya. I wish my computer worked good enough that I could actually Google this while I'm talking to you. But y'all can Google this kind of stuff. What African nation, what African leader recently, I guess, ejected, I don't know if it is the World Health Organization or what the exact aid bodies were there, but basically what happened was, like, when the kids were young, they came and they did all this, free health care to all these young women in this African. I really believe it's I think it's Kenya, but and they've done this all over Africa. But this particular story has come out because the president basically took a look at it. What happened was they had all this great help and aid in the 80s, right? Helping the children and, we're going to help the girls, we're going to help the boys, we're going to help the girls. They gave girls all this aid, all this, health care, reproductive health care. And then when they grew up, right? Now they're grown-ups, they're in their 20s and their 30s, and nobody can have babies. Nobody can have babies. Everybody's sterile. They're like, what the hell? Why isn't anybody having babies? And Clue phone rang and they're like, oh snap, we can't have babies because none of the women that went through those fancy, helpful health care regimens can have babies. This is not new. They didn't just start doing this last year. They didn't just start doing it in the 80s, and they didn't stop doing it, right? This is literally how they get down. So when they show up, they're even doing it here in Belize right now. And I need to mention this when I do the news tonight. Let me mention that. Matter of fact. But even here in Belize, they are now infiltrating the schools, right? And they're trying to tell the little girls in the schools and little girls and little boys that they need HPV vaccinations, right? They need HPV vaccinations in the school. And they're like, it's imperative that you get it or your kids are going to end up with cervical cancer and this and that and blah, 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 right? So my friend happened to be up on it and was like, this is part of a sterilization agenda. I'm already hip. I already know this. Belize is unsuspecting, but you have nations that are 10, 20, and 30 years into this thing, and so they can speak on the long-term effects. And the long-term effects of this type of shit y'all trying to do is sterilization. Right? So the mom, my friend, speaks up in the school meeting, and they make her seem like she's some quack or whatever. But lo and behold, we found out that they are being paid $500 per child by the government to do this regimen, right? To administer this vaccine, if you will, to administer this vaccine to the kids. Now, this is the same school, mind you, where a week before this, they had a huge meeting because the kids' school list, things to bring in, kids didn't bring in enough toilet paper, kids didn't bring in enough school supplies for the classrooms to run properly, right? So they don't have enough school supplies for proper classroom running. And no, and that's on the parents, right? Like, I'm sorry, parents, we really need y'all to get more notebooks. We really need y'all. We can't help you with pencils. We can't do, but they've got $500 per child for this vaccination. But the kids can't get a pencil, right? So that should tell you something. Who in the hell has $500 to vaccinate a child that they don't have 5 cents to buy them a pencil? These are the kinds of things that should raise an eyebrow, right? These kinds of things should really raise an eyebrow. And so when someone comes to you talking about they come to help, everybody's not there to help you. If you're minding your business, living your best life, whether it be simple or extravagant and posh, you're living your best life. You don't let somebody else come along and tell you how fucked up your life is and how they'll be glad to fix it for a small fee, for your firstborn child, for a few acres of land, for a position in government, for nothing. It's just crazy. You have to know it's a setup. It's a setup. Okay? So look into these. We got right now, we've got, now I remember, again, back to the 80s, I remember in the 80s and stuff, I remember talking to kids who were saying that they didn't like going to churches because the priests were creepy, the priests were doing all this inappropriate stuff, and they didn't like, I remember talking to kids in the 80s that were on that type of time, right? Now, I ain't had them kind of problems in my churches. I was like, what y'all got? Well, I don't know what they do in them white churches. White people crazy. But these things were, kids been talking about the abuse of the Catholic Church since the Catholic Church has existed, right? Now that there are international scandals where you have scores, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are now grown-ups saying what happened to them at the hands of these, we're gonna call them like it is, at the hands of these devils, right? These wolves in sheep's clothing. Now you have, everybody is so deep in, nobody knows what to do, right? Like, how do you purge the Catholic Church out of a place like Belize? They've got their hands on all the schools. The Catholic Church runs the schools in most of the countries where they are, especially your developing countries. They have the whole education system on lockdown, right? So when they were coming into these countries and saying, we want to educate your children, oh, we'll set up the schools, we'll be your education system, everybody thought that was nice, that they just wanted to educate the kids. Well, here it turns out they wanted to fuck your kids. And so now though, it's like everybody wants to pretend it couldn't possibly be their priests, their church, their people, because of the huge task that it is to say, get them out of here. In order for a place like Belize to purge itself of the Catholic Church, right? It would be a huge undertaking, not to mention the scrutiny that they would come under in the international, eyes. Oh my God, how could you kick the Lord out of your nation? I didn't say the Lord had to go nowhere. I said these devils who work for the synagogue of Satan gotta go, right? But so what usually happens though is we put the blinders on, right? We put the blinders on and we pretend it's not us, it's not our priest, it's not our whatever, right? It's not our problem. It's happening to other people over there. And that kind of head in the sand thing leaves you very, very vulnerable. You cannot afford to be that vulnerable, especially when you're talking about entities. None of the entities I've mentioned, you can Google any of them and find countless stories of the type of shit I'm talking about right now. So, I mean, we've got to be wise. We've got to be wise. So not only do you need to ask yourself, why do you think you need the help? But then you also need to ask yourself, what's in it for this person or body to help? What do they do? What is their goal and agenda? What's their mission in the world? And how does that connect to helping me? right? Because if their mission in the world is to eradicate niggers, okay? Sorry for my language. If y'all can't take it, follow somebody else. I'm sorry, but if their goal in the world is to eradicate niggers, World Health Organization, okay, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, you don't call them in to provide health care. You don't take their medicines. You don't have their surgeries. Right? Okay, maybe you can't kick the whole church out of a place like Belize, but you can stop fucking going to the church. You can stop giving them your money. You can stop sending your kids to their school. Are they going to give you a fine or something for not sending your kids to the school? Well, now it's time for leadership to stand up, right? Leadership can say, we actually will give credits. We will give credit to any teacher. We'll pay the salary of any teacher who wants to leave the Catholic school and do private lessons at home so people can get their kids out of there. Right? Now that's going to be super offensive. They're going to say that they're not qualified, boom, 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 boom. Well, then here's the other part to that, right? When you're looking at this whole Catholic situation and the education thing, I don't want you in this video. I've pushed you away for a reason. They're going to, like, the backlash that you'll have to deal with when you're dealing with that is a lot, right? So if you were to say something like that, then they're going to be like you're going to become a blasphemer, and like you're going to have all this stigma attached to your resistance. So what? What do you care how people who want to kill you feel about you? Like, what do you care? They want you dead. They legit want you dead, right? So they'd like to get access to your children, access to your lands, and wipe you out, right? They want to defile your children. They want to defile their hearts, minds, and spirits. They want to wipe you out, and they want to take your land. Why do I say that? I'm speaking against God's church. That's not God's church. That's a synagogue of Satan, okay? Do your homework. Why would I say that? Look at the evidence. Look at the evidence, right? So, but then it becomes problematic, right? Because then you've got, let's say the government does get behind it and say, yo, stop going to them Catholic churches, or they shut them down, or they drive them out, or whatever. Rwanda, Brother Kagame, the president of Rwanda, he just closed 6,000 churches. He said, y'all not doing that nonsense here. This ain't godly. This is crazy. They got all kinds of crazy stuff going on in them churches. He shut them down, 6,000 churches, mosques, all types of stuff. Why? Because he's a realist, and he knows that these are the centers, the epicenters of so many abuses of the people, from financial abuse to sexual abuse to spiritual abuse. It's just abuse, 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 right? So you got to understand that. You got to learn the difference between news and propaganda, right? Here's how you know it's probably real news, okay? It's probably real news if the mainstream hasn't picked it up, and if suddenly when you go to find that story, again, weeks later, it's gone, right? Some reporter finds something, they report on it. Oh my gosh, did you guys hear that? No, how come nobody's talking about this? How come nobody's talking about this? How come nobody's talking about this? And then you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know, but here, look, here's the story, read it. And then the story, you can't find the story anymore. Yeah, that's because, bless you, that was real news, okay? That was real news. How do you know? I was in this discussion with someone about the Olmecs, and for those of you who follow me kind of closely, you already know this, or you may already know this, but a lot of you don't know that I have memories of ancient times. I'm one of those people that remembers past lives. And so a lot of the things that I remember do not line up with what they teach in the history books about us. And so, but the funny thing is archaeological evidence, which is getting more and more difficult to have any kind of access to, but archaeological evidence supports the things that I remember, right? And uh, so when you have these propagandists come up on archaeological evidence that doesn't support the narrative that they are telling about world history, they'll say things like it's mysterious, right? It's not mysterious. It's clear. It's clearly an airplane. Like that's an airplane. That's a picture of an airplane, and that's a picture of a helicopter, and that's a figurine of an airplane. And yeah, it's several thousand years old. So that doesn't it's not mysterious. You need to change what you're saying about the world and ancient peoples to line up with the evidence. That's not what they do. They call the evidence strange and an anomaly, and then they continue with their same narrative, right? And so I am constantly battling with people over the things that mainstream academia says about ancient peoples. 95% of it is just not true, right? And so when they come and they're helping and this and that, then what starts to happen? They start to change your legacy. I've been in Belize for 2 years. Before I came here, in my research, I learned and discovered that Belize was two things are unique about Belize. They are the only official English-speaking Latin American country, right, here in Central America. And they're the only quote-unquote black nation here in Central America. The others are Latin countries, and Belize is a black country. This I learned before I came here, right? I've been here for 2 years. I've literally watched them change that narrative to Belize is a multicultural country. I've literally watched them change the flag. Before I came here, the flag was a red man, like, your Maya type of person, but dark, right? Like a darker. So like a dark red man on the flag and a black man, like a black man on the flag, right? Was when we came here. Now, if you Google the Belize flag, you will see a yellow man where the red man used to be, and the red man is now where the black man used to be. I've literally watched that happen in 2 years that I've been here, right? So these bodies come in and they literally rewrite your reality. So when they come into a thriving community, everybody's living a nice, wonderful, simple life, and then to justify their atrocities, they're going to write the story and say, let's say it's a tropical climate and they're not like wearing clothes, right? How many people groups like in hot places don't wear clothes, right? Like you got a loincloth, homie, that's your outfit, right? It's 3,000 degrees out this joint. Put on some covering of mineral or something that reflects some of that sun for them hot days or whatever. Put on some beads, a little swag, a little this, a little that. But like clothes ain't the thing, right? So you'll have the people sitting there in a little modest little hut, and they got their little thing, a little modest little food. Life is okay. They come in and they'll be like, "Oh my God, the whole town's an orgy. We need to go. They need Jesus. We need to civilize them. The whole town's an orgy." Then before you know it, everybody's wearing Spanx and shit, right? Spanx and nylons and all this stuff that they've been told is right and proper and acceptable before God, right? And they'll be like, yes, because when we showed up, these people were just an orgy. It was just an orgy fest. And now look, they're good, respectable Christians now. Like orgy fest? We wasn't down here having no orgies. Well, but they teach the kids, right? So then they take your children, and it don't take but so many generations before the children learn that their history was before this wonderful Savior came along with garter belts and Spanx and nylons and brassieres and undershirts and t-shirts and blazers. Before they came along, everybody in the village was just running around naked. Everybody was fucking. It was an orgy fest. But now everybody's respectable. And so what you'll have is a generation removed from the actual experience. Now when your parents and the elders are saying, no, it wasn't an orgy, it was hot, man. We wear our ancestral loincloth. Like, why wear more than that, right? The ancestors are saying that, and then that becomes a fairy tale, that becomes folklore, that becomes, fairy tale, I guess. Fiction is the word I'm looking for, right? That becomes the fictional telling, right? Oh, the elders are always telling these, ancient tales. But the official story is that someone came and found an orgy going on and civilized everybody, and they got them in some proper underwear and some proper clothing, and everything is good and great now. That's how they do it. So you have to be able to really take an objective look at what the heck is going on and know who you are. And here's another thing that they talk about that we need to learn to be strong in. They've made tribalism a bad word, right? Tribalism is like a bad word. Oh my God, tribalism. We got to stop tribalism. The devil is a lie. Tribalism builds loyalty. When I know my tribe, when I rep my tribe, I know who the hell I am. I know who my ancestors are. I know the things that we're good at. I know the things that we do. I know the things that we don't do. I know the things that have served us. I know the things that haven't served us. When they take you and remove you from that and tell you, forget all of that, you're part of a global population. We share one history, one this, one that. They start talking all this one shit. Why are they doing that? Because if they can erase your memory, if they can disenfranchise you from your lineage, you're vulnerable and you have nothing to go by except for what they tell you. Now, you can't listen to your grandmother who says, baby, listen, our people eat fish on Wednesdays to honor the day that whatever happens on Wednesdays and why we eat fish. Now that history becomes an old wives' tale and it becomes irrelevant, and then you're just wandering around out there, and now they've got you. I don't know. I get so frustrated about this stuff because it's happening on so many levels, and there are fewer and fewer places that are safe for really holistic spiritual living. And it's because people who are living holistic spiritual lives are being inundated with the mindset that they're lacking because they are not on a material quest and because they're not feeding the material beast. So protect yourself by tribalism. Protect yourself by knowing who you are and rocking with your team. That doesn't mean run out. It doesn't mean run out and kill everybody else's tribe and everybody else's tribe sucks. It means know and preserve your own history, your own lineage, your own cultures, your own richness. Tell your grandmother's stories over and over. Don't let anybody tell you that it's impossible and it's not true. Right? We have to reject these ideas of who the authorities are. I don't know how this colonizer race became the authorities on everything when they're the newest race to be born. They're like an infant race compared to everyone else. They're 10,000 years old at best, right? And I'm not even going to get into the way that their race came to be. Okay, let's just say that they came to be 10,000 years ago tops. The rest of the races on the earth are multiplied times older than that. So I don't know how the hell we're all running behind them as if they're authorities and they don't know anything. Any insight or knowledge that they have, they gained from talking to ancient lines of people. And then they twist everything up because they don't understand most of it. So they throw away the parts that they don't understand. And then they take the parts that they do understand and they morph it into like a weird conglomerate version of something where they've taken a piece from this and a piece from that and a piece from this and a piece from that and created a narrative that says, we're the best. We did everything great for everybody. And if you're offended by by me saying this type of stuff, you're way too vulnerable. You're way too vulnerable. You got to arm yourself with this kind of knowledge. I'm not hating. I'm not a hater. I don't have time for that. I speak truth. I'm for truth. I'm a realist. And if we're going to be saved from the destruction, truth is the only thing that's going to do it. It's the only thing that's going to set us free. We've got to start dealing with truth. And the truth is, tribalism is a strength. Go to your family reunion. Who does family reunions, right? That is strength. Now, what if I come to your family reunion and I say that it's unfair for you to have a family reunion because everybody isn't in your family and everybody doesn't have a big family, and so it's unfair for your big family to get together and have a fun day together because there's other families that don't do that and they feel left out? Or what if I'm not in the family and I want to join and that's not fair and I feel left out? Like, what? You'd be like, that's not what's up. But then you don't see how on a national level or on community levels how that's happening. That's how gentrification happens. You get a couple people come in and make friends and pave the way, and then little by little things start to change toward their aesthetic. And before you know it, the indigenous or the original inhabitants of that place, everything about them, their ways, their culture, their language, their food, their this, their that, become the old way, the outdated way. And the new, better way are the ways of these less competent colonizers. We've got to stop that. We've got to stop that. So am I saying that you shouldn't deal with outsiders? No, I'm a traveler. If people don't deal with outsiders, nobody's going to talk to me. So that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is you have to be wise enough that when you deal with them, first of all, don't fuck with anybody if you don't know their agenda. Somebody comes along and wants to tell you, sing you a story, and they got some aid, help, deal, whatever attached to it, tell them you'll think about it. And do your due diligence and find out who the hell they are and where they came from. Find out what's the stories, the people that they've already impacted. What are their stories, long and short term, right? What's the person that they dealt with last year have to say about them? What's the person that they dealt with 5 years ago have to say about them? What's the person that they dealt with 50 years have to say about them? And person or nation or group or however you want to see it. What do they have to say about them? Look at the track record. Right? Don't ask them, so what do your other people say about you? Oh, they love us in Taiwan. They love us in Bangladesh. They love us in Kenya. Go on over there and examine for yourself. Because if you would ask the Clintons right now, they'd tell you that the Haitians love them and they love Haiti and everything's great. Right? So, at the end of the day, indigenous peoples, indigenous bloodlines know that simplicity is richness. We know that. We know that wealth is when you got yourself a little piece of land that you can grow some stuff on. You got yourself a beautiful family, whatever form that family is in, you got yourself a beautiful family, right? You have community with the people around you. You share. Right? You and your community share, your children play together and fight together and things like that. And like that is richness, right? We know that going and working yourself to death so that you can have a fancier couch and so that you can go buy poison from some packaged food outlet, we intrinsically and inside ourselves know that that's some bullshit and we don't want no parts of it. But we give too much audience, we give too much ear to liars, deceivers, tricksters, murderers, rapists. We give too much ear to them. We let them sit there and talk because we want to be their damn friend all the time. So we want to make friends with everybody. We want to be their friend, and we let them talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And before you know it, they've convinced us that what we need to do is go move to the city, get a job so we could buy more shit from their friends that own everything. We need to buy more packaged stuff And you know what? I'll help you do it. How about I buy your land from you so that you can go to the city and go to college and so you can get a job and so that you can support capitalism, and I'll buy the land. Well, what you think when your broke ass can't find a job and you got all that student loan debt, right? And you come on back home, what you think they're going to be doing? Sitting on your hammock where the hell you was chilling in the first place. They're going to replace you and send you into that chaos. And you done let them pay you just enough money to get the hell out of Dodge for your home, for your stability, for your richness. And now they're on that land talking about it's multicultural. And no, this never was. We don't know what you mean. Black nation. This was never a black nation. It's always been multicultural ever since I've been here. Right? Like, come on. We cannot keep being this vulnerable. There are fewer and fewer safe places to be, right? So if you must deal with them, let's say you have to for whatever reason, do it with intelligence. Don't be sitting duck, right? Don't be a sitting duck. Never, ever, 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 under any circumstance, on a personal level, on a systematic level, on a governmental level, never, ever, 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 ever make deals whereby if things don't go, if you don't end up in the best case scenario, or no, let me put it this way. Never, ever make deals or set up programs or anything whereby your assets, your land in particular, or the resources on your land can be taken away to, can be taken away like for surety or collateral or something. Never, ever, 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 ever agree to that. If they want to be your neighbor, how about this? Rent to them. Never, ever sell to them. Do not give up land. Do not give up land. Another thing you vulnerable nations need to do is stop attaching votes to citizenship when citizenship is something you can buy your way into. Votes should come with bloodlines. I'm sorry. As a traveler, I know that means that I can go somewhere and live for 10 years and that I won't get a vote. It's no fair. Fuck fair. Life's not fair. Okay? Stop that. You do not let foreigners come in and have any kind of political power. They are guests in your home. Treat them as such. If I come and visit your house right now, do I get a vote on where your couch goes? Do I get a vote on what kind of food you buy? Maybe I can get a little vote just in terms of like, oh, well, what would you like, Jetty? Oh, you know what? Let's have chicken and rice. Something like that. But I don't get to go into your cabinets and vote out all the shit I don't like and vote in all the stuff I like. It's your house. I do that in my house. So if these foreign people want to vote, send them back to the nations they came from and let them cast their vote. You got to stop letting these foreign people come into your countries, and because they can pay whatever little money it is to get citizenship, and they can stay the few months and they can prove whatever they got to prove, then now they get to have some kind of political voice. Silence them. Silence them in those arenas. You have to. And never, ever, 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 ever have any kind of programs that put your land up or the resources on your land up for surety. Never do that. You just don't do that. That's like the number one way we leave ourselves vulnerable. We put our children in the hands of people who destroy them because we don't feel like dealing with them, because they make our kids smile. Oh, she's so cute. I love her. Oh, she loves you too. Climbing on and off their laps and stuff. Oh, can I take her for the day? Oh, yeah. We're so ready to get rid of our kids and stuff. So ready to see them march off. We think, oh, yay, because they're going to buy backpacks or they're going to provide socks or they're going to buy the kids shit. So we're so worried about what they're going to buy and want to be their friend because maybe that means they'll share some of their wealth, throw us a couple crumbs. Fuck their crumbs. Stop that. Right? And like I was saying about tribe, y'all, I have not followed my notes. I'm all over the place. Y'all gotta forgive me. If this is a hot train wreck of a live, y'all gotta forgive me, right? But I'm actually going to, because I'm looking at it and we're an hour in, so I'm just going to read over these next couple points because I don't want to be longer than more than a little bit over an hour. So what you need to do is you need to be looking as a leader, whether whether you lead a nation or a community or just a family, right? As a leader, you need to be looking at developing programs and strategies that keep your assets in your hands. Don't fall for the bullshit that you should be trying to use your resources to get money. You should be using money to get real resources. Never ever trade real resources for money. Money's useless as fuck. Okay? Especially the United States dollar, all these fiat currencies, they're useless. They're not telling y'all, but that it's crashing. You got nations that literally won't even accept the US dollar anymore. Okay. So you've got to be thinking along those lines. You've got to be thinking along the lines of what kind of a strategy. So what does that look like on a personal family level? Well, it looks like, okay, guys, we've got this acre, we've got this 10 acres, we've got this 100 acres, whatever it is, right? And we can't afford whatever we can't afford. So what we need to do is not go take a loan out from the bank and put half the land up. But what we need to do is find a way that we can all make the land make the money that we would otherwise get from the loan, right? So what does that mean? Maybe it means put up a little house and take a renter. Maybe it means start farming. Maybe it means open a family business of a restaurant. Whatever it is, learn not to give up real resources that last forever and ever for dollars that you will spend and then they're gone, right? We just can't afford to do that on a personal level, on a national level, on a community level, none of that. Another thing I want to talk about that nobody's going to like is, some people are going to like, but these ideas, like I talked about how they make it seem like tribalism is so bad, and I'm like, tribalism is the best thing, right? So another thing that you got to be careful of is watch what they're calling corruption, right? As I think about the geopolitical reality, their systems are corrupt. And so the people that don't play by their rules get this title for being corrupt, right? But what does that mean? Because if the system is set up, I'm a Black person, if the system is set up literally, which it is, to keep my people on the bottom, I am not a good person to uphold that system, right? I'm not it doesn't make me a better person to uphold that system at my own people's demise. So what's more corrupt? Me signing on to a system that was designed to destroy my people, or me finding ways within that system to navigate so that I undermine the system, right? What they're calling corruption, 9 times out of 10 is the opposite of corruption, because the corruption is actually the acceptance of these global systems of destruction. That is corruption. That is the global corruption, is this ever-growing system of capitalism and false democracy that are literally gobbling up the world, right? That's corruption. So when they say to you that you're not playing by the rules set out by our corrupt system, when they call you corrupt, it's a compliment. What it means is that your actions are countercultural to this corrupt global system. Now, am I saying that I'm not saying that I support, whatever. I'm just going to leave it at what I did say, right? Think about that. Think about that. Who is more corrupt? The person who comes, makes a law that disenfranchises thousands of people, and you have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And if you do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you have followed the law. Lo and behold, it's going to wipe out the wealth of an entire generation of your people, but at least you followed the law, versus the person who says A, B, C, D, E, F, G, if we all do this, we'll all be wiped out in a generation. So what we're going to do is all right, listen, guys, when you get to step C, don't go to step D. Come see me. Okay, we got a like D.5. Shh, don't tell nobody. So instead of this thing that leads to D, you're gonna go over here and come over here, and I'm gonna show you a way to do this where you don't actually do that, right? So then the system's all pissed off a decade later when it didn't work like it was supposed to. How come everybody didn't get wiped out, right? It didn't work. The system didn't work because they're corrupt. They're not doing what we told them to do. But then this goes back down. This goes back to what I was saying earlier about why are we considering them the authority? So who the hell are they to tell us what corruption is? In all honesty, a person in political office or a person with political connections, right? They are better and more accountable if they're, how can I say this? If I am a political person and my sustenance comes from, if I help you open a business, you give me $5, right? If I help you open a business, you give me personally $5. And that's how I make my money, right? That is going to lead to stronger communities than if the system pays me. The system pays me. And so I don't have any real reason to help you open a business. And I don't have any real accountability to you, right? I don't have any reason to deal with you at all. Except my job is just to uphold the system, right? Which has you locked out of getting a job. So if they say, okay, Jetty, you work for the system. And so what we want you to do is make everybody jump through these hoops in order to get something, and we'll pay you. We'll pay you so much money to be the person that sets up the obstacle course between people and opening businesses, right? That's the government way, and that would be the good, legitimate government way. That way is not going to produce as much business or as strong of a community as if we say, okay, Jetty, your job is to work with the people and find ways that they can open businesses on their own without the use of government interference. That's going to create a lot more community. And they say, but you ain't going to make no money unless the people that you help pay you. You're not going to make no money unless people that you help pay you. So you got to actually open the businesses in order to get paid. Now, they would call that corruption. They would call somebody coming to me and saying, okay, so I want to open a business. I got $50 for you. What can you do for me? And then I say, well, I'll do this and I'll do that. That's corruption to them. But it's not. It's called community building. So we gotta reteach ourselves, and we have to come out of these false notions of who is what and what is who, right? My daughter said a while ago, there's no righteous way to uphold a corrupt system. There's no righteous way to uphold a corrupt system. When a system itself is corrupt, the only way to be righteous is to go against it in some way. So it's another one that they like to throw around, like nepotism, right? Nepotism is helping your friends and family, right? Like in particular family, like giving your family a job as opposed to a stranger. They say that's a bad thing. What the fuck? What kind of sense does that make? I own a restaurant. I need employees. Wisdom says, employees my ass. I have daughters. They're not my employees, they're my daughters. It's our business. That's considered nepotism. That would be bad if I would give my daughter the job before I'll give the stranger the job. In their system, that would be bad. The stranger should have just as much chance of getting the job as my own daughter. According to their system, that's the way that it should be. Why? Because they know that will leave you disenfranchised. That will leave your daughters out there begging strangers for jobs, while you feed strangers. It's the stupidest shit ever. It is the stupidest shit ever, especially when you consider the fact that when you get into your higher levels of income brackets, they completely and absolutely do nothing but nepotism. They only hire their friends and their family. Like, it's why the United States is now an oligarchy and not a democracy. They literally, that's what they do, is hire friends and family and put friends and family in key positions. But then they tell you when you do it on a small scale, it's nepotism. Why? Because they know if everyone small scale does it, you don't have people running to them for minimum wage jobs. You don't have people working in sweatshops and shit. Why would I go and work in a sweatshop when me and my daughters can each have a sewing machine here in my house? We can have a family business and we can sew the shit ourselves and sell it. Well, they tell you you can't do that. You got to come and work for them. Like, we've got to look at this stuff and look at the impact of buying into this stuff because it leaves us vulnerable, right? So just some things that we've got to be thinking about, right? When you go into business partnerships, don't go into lopsided business partnerships. Don't go into lopsided business partnerships. Now, if you got a situation where somebody's putting a lot of capital up front, you can work out some kind of profit sharing thing where in a few years, you know, that balance gets paid off. But then thereafter, it should really be balanced. You shouldn't be making pennies while the other person's making dollars. Like, no, thank you. It's not helpful. Jobs is another thing that they push. Jobs. Oh, our people need jobs. Do the research. Jobs have never, ever, job creation has never, ever lifted anyone out of poverty. Ever. Not yet. It hasn't done it yet. It's not going to start doing it. It's never worked. You know what lifts people out of poverty? First of all, the idea of poverty itself. I'll tell you one thing that lifts people out of poverty: changing your mind about what the hell you think poverty is. Because technically speaking, I guess I would be considered living in poverty. Well, depending. Like, if you would go by my lifestyle, they would say that I live in poverty. I live in this little small place and stuff, and I don't have a car, right? I ride my bike and stuff. Our bikes are our transportation, and someone would call this poverty, but I'm going to tell you, I lived in one of the wealthiest spots in the United States, one of the best spots, according to them, in the United States to live. And, every luxury that there was. And I'm going to tell you, those people are far more impoverished than any Belizean I've met yet in the 2 years I've been here. Belizean people are rich, man. So stop calling yourself poor. Stop calling your nations impoverished, right? You're not impoverished. Poverty is a spirit. And that's what they plant on you when they come and they tell you that you need help, because you are inferior in all these ways, that you're actually superior, but it's a mind fuck. So change, in order to eliminate poverty, first of all, stop calling things poverty that are richness. Like a simple life in a little hut somewhere out in who knows where. So what? You eat mostly the same 5 foods all the time. Now, if that's what you plant and eat, that's what you plant and eat. You're going to let somebody come and tell you, somebody that literally goes to the grocery store and buys poison at an inflated price. They buy poison at a highly inflated price at the grocery store. They work themselves to death. They barely have any time to rest and enjoy their life. They're going to come and see you swinging on your hammock, right? See you swinging on your hammock. Your kids are doing whatever, right? One of them's in the restaurant helping mom. One of them's out picking some stuff from the farm, right? You're like on the hammock having your little moment, and they're going to come and they're going to call you lazy. They're going to call you, say your business needs to be shut down because of nepotism. They're going to tell you that you have no right to have your kids out in the field working, and what you need to do is fix all of that. And so the fixing is going to remove you from that life and put you into a life where you're working as a slave somewhere to try to overcome poverty, while they insert themselves into your life and try to duplicate it. Right? So, but when they do it, it's luxury now. Now your life is luxury living. But they convinced you to give it up because they told you it was poverty. It's the stupidest shit ever, and we keep falling for it. We keep falling for it, right? So at the end of the day, I would say your best bet is to cling to the wisdom of your ancestors. Cling to the wisdom of your ancestors. Cling to it with everything in you. Never, never, never give it up. Never give it up. If your granny used to send you when you would get a cold out in that bush to get whatever she would send you to go out in that bush to get, never give that up. Never, 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 never. I don't care what article you read and what medical association says what about how dangerous it is and blah, blah, blah. Don't fucking give that up and then go start taking antibiotics and shit. Like, don't do that. Am I speaking against antibiotics? No. Right? I'm not like against modern medicine, but most of it is death. And there are natural ancestral ways of healing most stuff. Why do you think they keep killing all the natural healers? Why do you think those people come up dead, mysteriously dead? Because it leaves you less vulnerable. The people are less vulnerable if they understand that they don't have to go to Big Pharma and spend $3,000 over the next 6 months on medication. That all they have to do is plant some whatever in the yard, take that every day in some tea for the next 30 days, problem solved. Right? I mean, our people, global indigenous people, have literally been millennia upon millennia upon millennia upon millennia upon millennia upon millennia on this earth. They just got here. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And at the end of the day, guys, the thing that leaves you most vulnerable is that you don't know who the hell you are and you don't know who they are. You have it topsy-turvy. You think that they're the rich ones when they are the poor ones and you're the rich ones. You think that they are the wise ones when they are the fools and your ancestors are the wise ones. You think that they have the answers for spirituality and divinity when they are actually satanic in origin and practice, and you are the divine beings. You have the link and the connection to the divine. Your ancestors already told you how to connect with spirit, right? And at the end of the day, if it ain't broke, don't damn fix it. If you're sitting there chilling in your life, don't let somebody else come along and tell you that you're not chilling. Don't let somebody else come along and talk you into hating your husband. You and your husband been chilling, having a good old time, and then somebody comes along and is like, he don't never help you when you go to the kitchen. You're like, no, he don't help me when I go to shop, please. He better not come up in my kitchen. Oh, that's unfair. Why is it unfair? Well, didn't you both just come from the field? Yeah, we did. Well, then he should be helping in the kitchen. No, he's going to chill and rest, and I'm going to do this kitchen stuff, and then he's going to take the trash out, and then he's going to, do whatever other stuff he does. But oh my God. And then before you know it, now your husband, 2 weeks of that person coming to visit, now you looking at your husband all ugly. I think I want out of this marriage. I'm not happy. Why? Why aren't you happy? You was happy 2 weeks ago before that hating ass colonizer came along and told you that your husband wasn't no damn good. You loved him 2 weeks ago. You was so tickled to go in that kitchen and cook that food while he sat there. Baby, I am so hungry, man. That thing smelled good. You grinning in the kitchen, just a smiling, just as barefoot and pregnant and happy as your ass could be. Somebody come along, they done talked you into getting rid of the man. Now you can't sustain yourself because you can't do all the shit that y'all together could do. Now you got to go get you a job. Now, instead of standing there barefoot, happy and pregnant, cooking your husband's meal, now they got you in some damn shoes and standing 8 and 10 hours cooking for some strangers in some restaurant because you had to go get you a job. But you ain't allowed to give the strangers that you're cooking for the face that they were giving your husband. You better not have contempt for them like the contempt that they built up in your husband. You're supposed to be grateful and happy for that job, cooking for all them damn strangers. Yay, they're your blessing. It's such a blessing that you're able to cook for them. Where was the blessing in cooking for your damn husband? Y'all see how they're mind fucking us? Like at this point, we're too long in the game to still be sleeping crazy. But I know that I'm going long. I'm at like a minute and 19, an hour and 19 minutes, and so I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. But I just wanted to give y'all a couple of things to think about. Keep your kids to yourself. Stop sending your kids to these colonizers for anything. Not for education, not for medicine, not for spirituality, not for nothing. Stop that shit. Stop making deals with them and stop listening to them. They're not the authorities. They're not the authorities. Listen to your ancestors and listen to yourself. All right? With that, I'm going to get off of here because I totally thought that this was only going to be like 30 minutes or something. And I'm an hour and 20 minutes in and didn't even have people participating. That's a hot mess. So if y'all listen to this in its entirety, you's a real MVP. You's a trooper. Anyway, it's your girl Jetty from Word Revolution. I'm out. Got some real cool stuff going on here in Belize. About to kick off, and definitely be thinking about if you are a melanated person. Ask the ancestors, the Most High, whoever you commune with spiritually, to lead and guide you and where you should go. Because right now, it's time to get the fuck up out. Karma is true, guys. Karma is true, and she is just. And she's coming for these colonizers. She's coming for these colonizers. So you want to be far away from them. Word in mind, body, and soul. All right, I guess that's all I got for you. Now let me figure out how to close this because me and YouTube are just getting to know each other kind of sort of here. I used to do lives on YouTube, but this is like all fancy and new. I don't even know what's going on. All right, y'all. I'm out. I hope that blessed somebody. I know it was a little bit random and weird, but hope it blessed y'all. Okay, peace out.